My current project is working on this sofa table. This is the base, which will receive a painted finish. The type of finish that I'm going to be using is milk paint, made by the old-fashioned Milk Paint Company, and you can see more on this product on their website, which is milkpaint.com. When I picked this product up, I got it from a small hardware store. It cost $11.25, so it's a little bit of an expensive option, but it's specific to certain needs, and it might be the finish that you need for some of your projects that you're working on out there. The paint that I got beside it on the shelf were these, we call it the Milk Paint Product Bulletin, which is all kinds of info on the paint itself and sort of tips on using it, advantages, characteristics, and so on. And this is a great thing to have. This is my first time using it, so what I'm doing is filming this video of my experience, and then afterwards I'm going to narrate the video, letting you know what I think about it and how it turned out. You can apply it with a brush, roller, or spray it, spraying it being the smoothest way to apply it. I'm going to be using a roller, and the rollers that I got are these small foam rollers that I got from the Dollar Tree. One of them came with a tray, the roller, and a brush and some extra gloves, which I always use anyway when I'm doing projects, because you can paint or be putting an oil-based finish on something, whip those gloves off, and then go to the next piece without getting some oily or painty finger marks all over that part. The paint itself is a powder-based paint that you mix with water, so I'm going to be filtering out any clumps through this paint filter. You could also use pantyhose, which you could stick directly into the jar, dumping your finish through it from another container, filtering out any sort of particles that may be in it. So for a container, I'm using a glass jar with a sealable top. This is a spaghetti sauce jar. And this way I can stick this directly in the refrigerator after the fact. Since it does have milk in it, it can go bad. I'll be using this mixing cup here just to keep up with my proportions, to where down the road I'll know how I like to mix this stuff up according to what kind of a project I'm working on. Other than that, the only thing to say is I'll be painting this piece up on top of my workbench with a drop cloth, and then with the feet you can see raised up here with painter's pyramids. I got these at Lowe's. They work great. It's something I wanted for a long time and never paid for them, because it was the kind of thing I would just shim up my work pieces with little blocks of wood. But these really are great. They're all cones, so they pop all together. I put them in a drawer. They can snap together for having two like this and laying long strips of like trim in between them to keep them raised up. They really are nice, and you can get a pack of 10 of them, I think, for $5. Other than that, let's go ahead and get started and get some paint on this piece. Upon opening the bag, I found instructions on the inside. It's pretty much the same thing that came in the bulletin, just a smaller version. The paint itself comes inside of a small Mylar bag and kind of looks like an MRE, but I wouldn't eat it if I were you. Not sure what that would do to you. Although it says non-toxic, you just waste your $11.25, I guess. What I did is just trim the corner just enough to where I could pour it, which would make it easier for me to roll the bag up to store it back in its little brown bag. I abandoned the idea of measuring out proportions of paint and water and just mix them together until I got a consistency I liked, which was just a tad bit thicker than a normal wall paint type consistency, and you can see there from it dripping. But you can mix this up to whatever consistency you want. If you were spraying it, of course, you would mix it up pretty thin and really need to strain out the particles. And when it comes to straining out the particles, my little paint filter really just didn't do it. So I abandoned that and just started rolling it on. It was a little thick to go through that paint strainer. If I was using pantyhose, I could have probably squeezed it through, but wasn't really worried about it. When it came to painting, I just mainly used the roller, but when it came to doing the edges, I used a brush just to get in all those corners, and then using the roller, I just rolled out the brush marks to where it all had a consistent surface. One thing that's real good about the paint is you can, part of it can be dry, and then you can brush or roll back through it, and you really can't tell where you overlapped, and that is a pretty helpful thing. There's a lot of finishes that are very tricky to do that in, and you really have to work it all wet, basically. With the inside of the apron, I really didn't want to end up having to paint it just because of the expense of the paint and the time, but I wanted to clean up the look of the leg, so I masked off the apron and just painted up the inside of the leg. For the drawer, I masked off the inside of the drawer. I did not want paint on that, just on the face of the drawer, and used the roller to take care of that paint job, and then the brush to take care of the inside of the lip. I really didn't want a distressed look on this piece of furniture, so I ended up rubbing out the finish a little smooth with some t-shirt material. After the fact, I applied a Watco. This is a Danish oil. The only thing I had was a cherry color, which it doesn't really matter. It's on a black surface, so it's not going to change it much anyway. And the good thing about using one with a little stain in it is the fact that if any grain kind of gets torn up while you're burnishing it, the stain will darken it and you really can't see the problem. With the oil finish applied, that wraps up the paint job on the base of the sofa table. Next time you see it, it should be totally complete with the top and shelf mounted and a couple other cherry details taken care of, and that will appear in next month's Craftsman's Corner video, which will be episode 2. And if you have any questions that you would like answered in that video, try to post those on this video or the other video on this where I went over the details. And for those of you who have not watched that video, that is one that covers all the different types of joinery, how I achieved it in some of my design decisions along the way. And to speak a little bit more on the finish that I used, I really do like the way it looks. It has a nice satin slash almost flat finish, but with the oil applied, it gives it just the right amount of depth. So with all that said, I'll go ahead and close the video out. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're not a subscriber, please do so. You can click the red button at the end of this video. And like I said, I've got another video posted about this table here. So I guess that's pretty much it. You'll see some more photos of it on Facebook. And other than that, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Click the big red button to subscribe and the video playing below to see the video on the details of this table build.